Originally my video was going to be about the change in TNA and my thoughts on it, but for those of us who watched the live Impact special, no such change was ever announced. I got nothing to comment on in that regard. I'm going to assume that the change was Paul Heyman, the talks fell through, and now they have nothing. And until I hear otherwise, I'm just going to... That's going to be my assumption. The show was terrible. I just want to throw that out there right now. It did nothing to make me want to order Bound for Glory, which I will be skipping. I won't order it, which will be the first Bound for Glory I have not ordered. Normally it's one of the better pay-per-views of the year, but this year it doesn't look like it. So, yep, that's another pay-per-view I'm going to skip out on. But I did have something interesting happen this week. I met Mick Foley at a book signing over in Kensington, Maryland. He was having a book signing, obviously, for the Countdown to Lockdown book. Got the book signed. Here it is. Right there. There's the signature. Mick is a real cool guy. I hope he never watches my previous YouTube videos where I talk about the veterans and how they need to go. But I've always had a tremendous amount of respect for Mick Foley, despite of whether or not I think he should be wrestling now. I will give him credit, and I will admit I was wrong. The match with Ric Flair was not an embarrassment. It was actually pretty good, very violent, and by far the best part of that show. So I will eat my words on that one. But, yeah, it was very cool getting to meet him. He's a very funny guy. I read the book. I enjoyed it. Anybody who's read Foley's other wrestling memoirs, you know what to expect. He's very funny, and he's brutally honest. If he was a part of something that he didn't like, he will tell you that it was not very good. And I have endless amount of respect for that kind of honesty. Because too many people try to sugarcoat what they did. So if Foley did something that sucks, he'll tell you it sucked. And that's very admirable. But there was one passage from the book, one part, that really struck me as interesting. And it gave me my new topic for this week's video. And that was a section where he talked about the Motor City Machine Guns and how they almost got fired from TNA due to a misunderstanding with management. And Alex Shelley had gotten into trouble with Jeff Jarrett over the turkey suit incident, for those of us who remember that segment. That was a... if you don't remember it, it was on a Thanksgiving episode of Impact, and Alex Shelley lost a match and he had to wear a turkey suit. And Jeff Jarrett got mad at him because he felt he, quote, undersold the humiliation of having to wear a turkey suit. Mick Foley came to his defense saying that that kind of over-the-top, overdone, cheesy overacting doesn't really apply anymore because wrestling's not just an arena product, it's a television product, and we can see Shelley. Shelley doesn't have to overact so the people in the back can see him. Everybody around the world can. There's a Titantron and the video audience. We got a shot right in his face, so he doesn't have to overly project what he's doing. A more subtle performance will work. And Foley made that point, and Foley made a lot of other points when talking about the guns. Said they know what it means to be cool, they appeal to a younger generation. His kids think the Motor City Machine Guns are very cool, and they wanted to get their haircuts just like Alex Shelley. And I found that as interesting that Foley felt like we need to listen to these guys. Because they know what cool is, and they speak to today's generation. And I think that mindset needs to return to wrestling. I think back to the Clique and that story that I've heard Shawn Michaels tell where the Clique basically laid down and said, look, Vince, this show sucks. And that line that Shawn said, Vince, you're in your 50s, I'm 30, are you honestly going to tell me that you know what's cool better than I do? And I'm not saying we need another Clique to act like assholes, because back in the day they were kind of assholes. But I think we do need the young guys to step up and make suggestions, and maybe they should be taken seriously. I think guys like CM Punk and John Morrison, they know what it means to be cool. I don't think the character that you see on television that Morrison portrays is what he would be doing if he had some control over his character. Motor City Machine Guns, same thing. I think they know how to appeal to today's generation, and I think maybe we should listen to them a little bit more. And it's kind of sad that wrestling today, in the WWE's case, it's Vince McMahon's show. This is the show he wants to produce, and it's awful. Pee Wee Herman is going to be a guest host in a few weeks. Now, I loved Pee Wee Herman as a kid, quote, as a kid back in the day, And he's a relic from the 80s, so I don't see how having him on your show is going to appeal to new audiences and do any kind of real business. I don't see the reasoning behind that. And TNA, the show's in the hands of Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff, who I think are stuck in another time period. Their minds are in the late 90s, and you see it in the shows that they produce, and I think they're out of fresh ideas. And I'm not saying I could do much better. If you look at my DVD rack, I mean, my God, Star Wars, Rocky, Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, Karate Kid, Terminator, Rambo, Indiana Jones, all that stuff. My mind is just trapped in that time period, so I'm not saying that I know what's cool, but I think there are a lot of guys in wrestling, the younger generation, that do know, and I think maybe we need to listen to them, or the bookers need to listen to them more. I think the creative process in wrestling needs to be a collaboration. It needs to be a team effort. The talents need to be able to put their ideas out there. The bookers need to have their ideas, and there needs to be a teamwork between both sides. If you give too much control to one side, if you give all control to the bookers, then it becomes, very controlled, very stale, very boring. If you give full control to the talent, it becomes anarchy. Look at WCW. And I think wrestling would be in a much better place now if we had some young, fresh ideas being interjected into the creative process. Because too much of what's going on is either, like I said, WWE's case, it's way too kiddie-friendly and way too stupid. And in TNA's case, it's way too grounded in trying to relive the past in a very poorly rehashed manner. So I think if there was that kind of creative change, where we had new ideas and had new, fresh minds writing the shows, I think things would get a lot better. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things we'd have to wait and see, see if it ever happens. But yeah, that's my video for the week. I'll plug the book one more time. Go check out Countdown for Lockdown. I think if you enjoyed Foley's other books, there's no reason in the world you wouldn't enjoy this one. And if you're going to order Bound for Glory, have fun. I'm not going to, and it's sad, because like I said, Bound for Glory tends to be one of the best shows of the year. I think Bound for Glory 07 is the best 3-hour pay-per-view that TNA has ever produced. And some people say, I got an email from somebody last week telling me about Hell in a Cell. It's like, oh, it was very good. You should have ordered it. But I feel like, you know what? The card was incomplete. WWE did a horrible job of building it, so I didn't feel like shelling over the money. That's their fault, not mine. And it's the same case with TNA. If they go out there and they have a phenomenal show, and they do what, they put on a show that's on par with some of the past Bound for Glories, good for the wrestlers. I think they made the best out of a bad situation, but TNA did such a poor job of promoting the show and making me want to buy it that I just felt like, whatever. But yeah, I'm done for the week, so see y'all later.